Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. We got lots of news to get through, whether it's the Olympics or otherwise in the NHL, but also here at DNVR, it's officially Spirit Week. We've got a bunch of fun stuff planned for you today. Hopefully you guys have fun with it. It's favorite t-shirt day today. You got whatever your favorite t-shirt is, throw it on. Have a good time. Enjoy it with us. I saw E got the All Hail Kale on. I figured he might wear that. So I was thinking about wearing that one too, E, but I went with the 8-bit McKinnon, change it up a little bit. You know, there's tons of different options over at DNVR for
I went with
you.
The Man Rocket of my
there you go.
20 shirt collection. I went with the Man Rocket.
Yeah, do you have that picture? Look at Tiff goes in hard, all right? She's got so many shirts. It's ridiculous out here.
The first picture I posted was only the Av shirts and like the 2 DNVR shirts in the bottom. And then I was like, no, let me rep all of DNVR. I'll show off. I've got a lot of stuff.
She's got a lot of DNVR shirts. I don't think I have quite that many. I have pretty much all of our Av shirts, but not quite as many from the other teams. But you got your options there. Of course, we do have a flash sale going on for Spirit Week and get 30% off a whole bunch of stuff. Highly recommend you go check that out. But maybe more importantly, and the big reason we're doing Spirit Week is, look, as part of this whole big thing, part of us having fun, it's because we're teaming up with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. It's an incredible group creating life-changing mentorships for kids across the country. We set ourselves a little bit of a goal to get $10,000 donated, but we'd love to smash right through that and do even more, and we hope you guys can help us with that. You can donate using the link in the video or description, and if you want to make an even bigger impact, you can also sign up to become a big by visiting bbbs.org/ALLCITY. So let's do something more important than, us sitting here talking about hockey. You can do good stuff for people and the community with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Go check them out or donate if you got the time, the want, the will. I imagine I've seen there's a few people. I think there's one guy who this was last time I saw was years ago, but he actually had every single one of our shirts. So
I thought somebody
that was
Nuggets.
Impressive.
I thought somebody during the Nuggets championship posted a picture of like all of the shirts they have, and yeah, that's probably the same guy. He's got all the BSN shirts, he's got like all the Av shirts, all the Nuggets shirts. He has so many.
Lots of options out there. If you're watching after the fact, comment what your favorite DNVR shirt is, even if it's not an Avs one. I understand. I forgive you this one time.
Special shout out to the couple of people that have BSN Denver tattoos out in the wild as well.
There are a few out there. Some DNVR ones too. Real diehards right there.
Our own,
yeah, that's
our
right.
own
That's
Brendan Vogt.
diehard.
Our own Brendan Vogt has a DNVR flag on him.
Does he?
I mean, he should.
He does, yes. All right. Let's keep it rolling here though. Get this out of the way. Game 5 happened over the weekend while we were off air. Florida takes care of business. They win that game. They take a 3-2 series lead. I hate to be the boring one. I hate to be the guy that says it's just going to go Florida's way again, but here we are. Can Edmonton win 2 in a row? Can they take one in Florida to at least force a game 7?
I'll go first,
sure,
so
man.
don't say anything. I'm going to go. Remember, I was like, I thought this was good. I love Florida. Love the way they're built. I love what they've done. Man, oh man, are they a good team. Did I think it was going to go McDavid, Draisaitl's way? Yeah. I think I was with you, right, Rudo? Right? Was it you and me, or was it no, Rudo? You picked Florida.
It
Me
was
and
you and
AJ
AJ.
picked.
I picked Florida in
Yeah.
6, so things look great for me. I don't know.
I hope you bet it. You know, bang on. Um, I can't see it, even though it wouldn't surprise me because they're gonna have to do Connor and Leon things tomorrow, I guess, to right to turn it around to go back to 7. But man, is Florida? They know how to win. They know how to turn tides. They know how to uh, respond. They know how to. I don't know what to say. I'm just so impressed by them, and it's like I can't see it, but here's what I'm going to tell you. As much as you don't want to sell, like, what is it? Put the cart before the horse and everything. Yeah, some people have to today, tomorrow. They got to do like whatever you want to call that, like all the pretending or projecting that you're going to win and what happens, and you know what I mean. Like it's a lot of logistics. It's a lot of logistics, and if you don't win, well, you got to be ready as well, right? Because you got to go with the logistics that you're all flying to Edmonton and everyone's flying. It's a nightmare for those people. So the good thing is Edmonton doesn't have to do that. They don't have to fly around because there's no way they can win, right? In Florida. So they just got to go and be quiet and go play the game and try to win, right? So I can't see it. I just see Florida not wanting to get in that bird and fly back all those miles. And yeah, I mean, just so impressed by Florida. And then Edmonton, it's the question like who's going to be in net, and you know, I go back to I think you put Skinner, you know, because that's what I think you do. I don't think it matters, but yeah, I'm excited for it. It's been a great series, so I'm looking forward to tomorrow night.
Let me drift into speculation land a little bit here with you. Let's say Florida does close it out in 6 or 7. Either way, at that point in Edmonton, you're talking about obviously having directly lost 2 Cup finals in a row. You've also lost in a conference finals in the last 5 years. What's the boiling point for McDavid? And you know, I don't know McDavid personally. Maybe he wants to stay in Edmonton and no matter what, forever and ever and ever. Is there a world where McDavid says, I'm done trying to do this in Edmonton and I'm going to go somewhere else? Maybe he does the basketball thing and takes a discount to build a super team somewhere or something. Is that on the table if the Oilers lose this or not?
I don't see why it would be. You're talking about going back to the Stanley Cup Finals in back-to-back seasons. The only thing that would make sense is if he looks out at the landscape and says the West is an absolute insane gauntlet every single year, and teams have to go through hell just to get out of the West, and there are teams getting freebie passes into the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, not trying to take too much away from Carolina here, but New Jersey was a cakewalk. Obviously, there were circumstances around that created the injuries. Washington was an overrated laughingstock, in my opinion, and you know, Carolina's like good, and then they roll into the Eastern Conference Final, and then get punched in the face by a really good Florida team. And you look at the landscape out there, and you're like, who's up and coming? Who's next out east? Like Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal is the only one that's like young of that list that's actually like young that you could believe in, and they're, you know, how much do you believe in the Habs? Like who's ascending over there? It feels like all of their talent is just bleeding into the West, and pretty soon the West is going to be like 12 legitimately really good teams deep, and the East is a joke. So if he looks at that landscape and says, ah, this is a lot harder trying to do this out west, I'll go out east, then sure. But otherwise, I mean, they're going to offer him a truckload of money, far more money than anybody else is going to be able to offer because of the value of the 8th year. The legacy, everything that's there, if he gets it done, he's a superhero there forever. I guess he's already a superhero forever, but like I guess I just don't see why he would leave. They continue to be good. They're Draisaitl is signed, so his running mate is there. They're tight. Why would you leave? Like what would be the catalyst behind walking?
Well, I'm going to add one more thing. I agree with you. His wife, right? He's married now. Like she's from there too. He's been there since he was a kid, right? 18. And you're right. You're getting some sort of success. There's something to reach. Like the great one reached it. You know what I mean? Like in that city, I know he looks up to him. But the one thing I'm going to say is, if he hasn't done it, he will. Again, we're assuming that's if they lose, correct? So it's assumed they lose, right? So if they win, is your answer, Rudo. I mean,
Yeah.
we're assuming they lose. Yeah. Assuming they lose, I think he's going to, what do we say, put the big boy pants on, like, right? And I think he's going to have to go in there. And as much as you don't like to put down a teammate or I'm sure, like I said, it looks like the Stuart Skinner's a great dude. So I hate saying this. I just don't think he's Stanley Cup. Again, people are going to say, well, he went to Game 7 last year, and look at him. It's just a rocky road to get there. I think he's going to have to go in there and say, hey, listen, we need a goalie. And let's just put it this way. Florida has a goalie. Edmonton doesn't, right? To take them there. So, and I think he would have to sit there and say, hey, listen, I don't care what we do now. We got to go get a goaltender. Remember when they got black with the Avalanche? Remember? We did the emergency pod, and that's all I kept thinking about. That's all I kept thinking about. I'm like, you got to think Edmonton Oilers were in on it as well, and they're probably just biting themselves, And I still believe that. That, okay, it was a missed opportunity. Who else is out there? I don't know. Easier said than done. But we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. I'm cool with it. Realistically, I don't expect him to play anywhere but Edmonton in his career. But again, I don't know the guy. You never know. Sometimes a couple of losses, and maybe this is a conversation that makes more sense. Say they lose the cup this year, and then they get kicked out in the first round next year or something like that. And it starts to feel like they're on the downward trend. Maybe you have that conversation if you're McDavid about what's next for me. But
question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this is a similar or different conversation when it comes to Austin Matthews?
Matthews has been a little different because he's been signing shorter contracts so that he can keep getting paid more as the cap goes up. So he's in a little bit of a different spot just because his priorities have very clearly been a touch different.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, I think it would have. I was surprised when Matthews stayed, honestly. I was surprised because it seemed like, and from what we had heard, like he was really not loving life out there. And then I guess he was. So, but with Matthews, I mean, you're years away from this again. So I think that's,
there's
he'll be in
different
his 30s by that point.
conversations with Matthews too, right? Like he's an American playing in Canada. Maybe he wants to go back to America. We hear that conversation a lot. Beyond that, he is a guy that is playing for an organization that has not made it out of the second round in his career, right? This is not Edmonton was one game away. All McDavid needs is one extra goal, and he's won a Stanley Cup. With Matthews, it's like you really haven't gotten all that close.
No, not even. But great question. But different boat, right? In my book,
yeah,
you know what I mean. Great question. Great players. One has carried his team. The other one has not carried anything. I mean, he's carried contracts, and he's had great contracts, and he's highest paid player in the league. But
And I mean, we'll
doesn't-
see, right? Toronto's about to go through a period of pretty big change to their core. So depending on how the next couple of years play out, could shape a decision like that. But we do have to pay a few bills here. So let's make sure we're doing that before we continue this conversation, as we are brought to you by the amazing folks over at Empire Today. Make sure you jump in if you're getting new flooring with Empire Today. Of course, they carry everything, whether it's hardwood, tile, carpet, you name it. They've got the floors for you, and they only carry the best products around, so you don't have to filter through all of the junk. You only get the good stuff when Empire Today comes around. Go get with them today. Of course, there's tons of ways to get with them. You can go online to empiretoday.com/DNVR. You can use their tools online to measure out your space and see what carpet might look like. But you can also get a free in-home estimate. Someone will come out, bring swatches of their floors. You can actually look at the floor in your room with your furniture. It's a great way to do it if you haven't gotten in with that. They have a bunch of experts when it comes to installing. They're the flooring experts that bring the showroom right to your home. So get with Empire Today. You get clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule that free in-home estimate today. Some things are just better at home. And DNVR listeners can get that $350 discount when they go to empiretoday.com/DNVR or use the DNVR code. Again, that's a $350 discount with the DNVR code. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/DNVR for full details. Of course, you can always call 1-800-588-2300 Empire. Once you've got your floors figured out, make sure you've also get your betting figured out with the Hall of Fame app. You can jump in with them. Everybody's been there. You have a crazy parlay going and it's actually hitting, but you end up one leg short and you end up missing the bet. Hall of Fame app wants to help you fix that. Get that happening less often, actually hitting your bets. You know, no one's going to hit all the time. That's not reality. But what Hall of Fame does help you with is actually give you some data. It's not your buddy's group chat. It's not full of hot takes. It's a full analytics engine. The Hall of Fame app gives you advanced access to advanced stats, historical data, and powerful tools to help you bet smarter. The app is built for the everyday sports fan, so it's easy and intuitive to use. You get an idea of your parlay's chances to hit and identify weak legs so you can weed them out before you place them. Whatever you're betting on, MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, you name it, the app gives you beautiful charts, clean visuals, and real insight, not hype. They believe anything the books know, you should know too. Because parlays don't have to be dumb bets. You can use the Hall of Fame app to make them exactly not that. Exactly not that? Yeah, sure. They're smarter bets with the Hall of Fame app. That's what I'm trying to say. They got a 4.9 rating in the App Store and over 6,000 5-star reviews. Get with them today. For a limited time only, our listeners not only get a 7-day free trial, but they also get 50% off their first month when they use code DNVR at checkout. Just download the Hall of Fame app on iOS and Android or visit hofbets.com. Enter code DNVR and you're all set. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's get into a little bit of the Avs news on the day. The first 6 players were announced for pretty much all of the Olympic rosters, which obviously we're still a long way out there. But officially, the Avs already have 5 players announced to the rosters of the Olympic teams. That includes McKinnon and Makar for Team Canada. It includes Gabe Landeskog for Sweden. Marty Necas for Czech Republic? Czechia? I'm sorry, Czechia. I always forget which one you prefer. Is it Czechia now?
Czechia.
All right. Either way, you're on those teams. I guess technically it's only 4, right? Lehkonen hasn't been officially announced for Finland yet. So expected Lehkonen to get announced for Finland at some point. You also have potentially Devon Taves for Canada. You have potentially Mackenzie Blackwood for Canada. And then maybe Brock Nelson for Team USA that fall into these are Avs that could end up on their Olympic teams. They were playing for, at least in the case of Taves, Lehkonen, and Nelson, their 4 nations teams. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. How do you guys feel about it? Let's potentially up to 8 Avs playing in the Olympics. It's a weird feeling because it's been so long, right? The last time we had an Av playing in the Olympics, I was not an adult. So
Yeah, I mean,
It's cool.
again, when I was playing here, I think we had 11. So, Germany with Krupi and obviously Ozo with Latvia and, the Avs again. Oh, I'm assuming Natushkin would be with Russia, whatever it's called, like, Russia. I don't think, obviously, that's not going to be lifted, right? So, but there's another guy that
Yeah.
they would potentially not lose, but have at the Olympics. Who's the eighth guy you're talking about? Because we said Lecky, Taze, and Nelson.
Blackwood would be the extra. That
Blackwood. Yeah,
because
you know what? That's a big possibility. Why wouldn't it be? I think he's a better goalie than Sam Montembeau. That's just me. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. Guys have a lot to play for coming up, and that's a good sign. That's a good sign for their teams. That's a good sign for their countries, and guys want to play in that Olympics. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not the Four Nations. It's not the World Cup. It's the Olympics, and it's big, and it's the first for a lot of players. So I think they're excited. A lot of people are, believe it or not, dealing with their injuries, and like it's going to affect my recovery time. I'd just rather we'll get it done next summer, and then you know what I mean. So there's a lot that goes into it. I think for the Avalanche, I think it's great, but also you put your hat on of ownership. Like I've lived it. It's not fun. You cross your fingers for a couple of weeks that you're not losing a big piece of your roster, because that's ultimately the Olympics. It's great to grow the sport. It's great for the players. It's great for their brand. It's great for the NHL brand. But what it's not great for, and it's a reality, and we saw it with Four Nations again. It's the injury factor. You know what I mean? You pay a certain amount of money to a guy, and he's a big piece of your salary cap, and they go there and they get hurt. It just stinks. It just stinks. It's not fun. And again, knock on wood, it just happens every year, every Olympics, everything. It's normal. It's the law of averages, right? It's a contact sport. It's a physical sport. So hopefully it won't be the problem. And sometimes it can help, players, because what if Marty Necas is an unbelievable Olympics, and I mean, it gives you confidence. It gives you, what I mean. Um, it's very important, and it's a big piece of the CBA, obviously. And I'm glad. I'm glad they're going back. I'm glad they're going back. So, again, I never had a chance to make an Olympic team, but as a player, I can tell you that if you're not going to the Olympics, it's weird. Uh, it's weird. It's just like, especially if you're on a team like the Avs that have like 7, 8 guys, 9 guys, it's weird because for like 10 days, it feels like an optional skate for 10 days, and you're like, wow, you know what I mean? So you go on the beach for a few days, and after a while you're back and you're like, wow. Like I was telling you guys back then, we had my brother, we had guys from town, you know what I mean? Just to have bodies on the ice, you know what I mean? So we could actually do drills, because we only had like 8, 9, and our coaches were gone too. Like Crawford was gone, and it was unbelievable. So it will be tricky for the guys that are not going, and that's where nowadays they're so in tune with their bodies and their all those coaches and strength coaches and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be good.
let me ask the question. And look, they've announced 6 players each, so these rosters are far from built, and some of the thinner rosters don't look maybe quite as rough yet because they haven't announced the depth. Is there any team that looks fun to you outside of the Four Nations? Obviously, we know more or less what Team Canada and Team USA's rosters look like. Finland and Sweden, we have a good idea of, although we'll talk about Sweden in a second here. But you get to see a Draisaitl and a Stützle in Germany. You get to see Necas and Pasternak in the Czechia team. Even a Denmark team that has Ehlers on it, it falls off pretty darn quick, but Bjorkstrand's in there too. Did any of these teams, do you think there could be a little bit of spark there based on their first 6, or do you really have to wait for the full lineups?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at Switzerland is always feisty, and you look at the guys that they've got on those 6: Yossi, Hischer, Siegenthaler, Meyer, Fiala, Niederreiter. Those are all good players. So the depth isn't going to be very good, but you look at how Switzerland is able to compete in international competitions on a regular basis, they're a hard out all the time. They play hard. They're smart players. They are a lot of talent in those 6 guys. Again, 7 through 23 is not going to be nearly as good, but they're fun, and I think that's going to be those are the teams that yeah, it's great to see when Canada puts all their guys into one one team. You're like, oh my god, right? But I love those teams. I think Germany has a good amount of depth. It's weird to me that Lucas Reichel was their pick and not JJ Paterka.
I mean, I'm sure they will both end up on the team, but yeah.
Yeah, but it was just strange because Reichel has not broken into the NHL, is not a consistent guy, is at this point in his career a really good AHL player, and JJ Paterka is about to get paid. And is coming off a 60-point season in the NHL. It makes you wonder what's going on there. But yeah, that's another the Germany has had such a strong couple of draft cycles that those guys have really matured into their primes at this point. That I don't know how you would not be excited to see what this generation of Germans can do in that competition.
I want to continue with the Olympics. Let me sidetrack us for a little bit, just because you brought up Reichel. There were some rumors swirling that maybe Chicago is willing to move on from him. Is there a price where the Avs would be interested in it?
Dude, are you trying to blow my reclamation project article right now? Come on, man. Yes. Lucas Reichel should be somebody that the Avalanche are actively interested in, especially with a hole on their third line where, Miles
drop
Wood,
him in the Kivy spot. Yeah.
Exactly. You could put Lucas Reichel next to Charlie Coyle and Ross Colton, and you would have a really interesting line right there where Miles Wood takes LOC spot on your fourth line. That is absolutely something that should be happening. Lucas Reichel is the Avalanche really liked him in his draft year because they're smart. They agreed with me, but his speed fits Colorado style. His offensive game would be a very welcome fit in Colorado. The consistency has been a problem, but how much of that is Chicago? Because nothing has gone well in Chicago the last couple of years. Their development all across the board has been kind of blah. Outside of Alex Vlasic's breakout, even Connor Bedard has not had a great development path. So I would 100% take a chance on Lucas Reichel. That is exactly the kind of buy low option on a young guy that the Avalanche should be investing in, and not the Jonathan Taves of the world, in my opinion. Not to, if they did both, that would be fine. But I'm saying instead of going out and getting a maybe old and bad guy, go and get a maybe young and bad guy. Because see how that guy fits your system.
Maybe
see how
there's
that
some more
guy might
upside
be able
there.
to play
Yeah.
into it. Yeah, exactly. You're not getting that name value of 10 years ago.
I was going to add, it's funny you're saying that because, you play in a losing environment, it stinks. It's just not fun. And sometimes it hinders your development. Sometimes it masks your development. Look no further than Buffalo. That's the team that had, in their young years, Eichel, Reinhart. I mean, the list goes on. And those guys are like, and then they go somewhere else to become superstars, win Stanley Cups. A losing environment can be toxic. And again, I'm missing a couple players for sure, but I'm just using Reinhart and Eichel. But, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Now, that's what pro scouting is. Let's put the hat on. That's what pro scouting is. That's what I keep saying all the time about, group twos or, RFAs or bad ARB cases or guys that have been buried in the minors. And that's what that is. It's easy to go and say, oh yeah, Macklin Celebrini's a good player. No crap. You know what I mean? But you got to go out there and find the reasons why the Lucas Reichels of the world are not in the NHL consistently. Why is that? You got to talk to people. Same thing, JJ Paterka. That's a red flag for me. I would right away, if Buffalo's one of my teams, or I'm looking at JJ Paterka, like I'm making phone calls today. You know what I mean? Like what is up with that dude? You know, why is that? Why is a guy scoring 30 again? Is it Eichel, Reinhardt, or you know what I mean, that category, or is it he's not a good guy? He's not. And again, I'm not starting rumors. I'm saying that's what pro scouting is. Of course, you can write reports and say he's a good player. He shoots the puck well. You know, sure, no problem. But it's the crap, the other stuff. So go ahead.
I
Get on
want to
it.
talk a little bit more about Reichel with you, E. But yeah, before we do need to hit our break here. So let's make sure we're doing that first, and then we can talk more about Reichel. As look, I guess it's technically not officially summer until what, Friday? Is that the 21st? I think so. Either way, it might not be summer, but you can still take your summer road trip. And when you head out on your summer road trip, make sure you're hitting up Raising Cane's to get refueled. You can order today at raisingcanes.com or on the Cane's mobile app to satisfy your chicken finger fix in a snap. At Raising Cane's, every chicken finger is hand battered and cooked to order. Every crinkle cut fry is cut perfectly crispy and perfectly salted. Every single piece of Texas toast is buttered to perfection, and none of it would be perfect without the Cane's sauce, made in restaurant each and every single day, ready to be dipped in. You hungry yet? Go get with Raising Cane's. Go get that delicious sauce. Go get your chicken fingers and get your order today at Cane's to keep the road trip going. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love. Once you got your chicken fingers, once you're refueled up, maybe it's time to go play a little bit of sports yourself. Look, hockey season is going to be over this week, one way or another. There's going to be no more hockey on your TVs, at least not NHL hockey. And that's where Volo comes in. You can jump in with Denver's most popular adult social sports leagues, pickup games, and events today. It's a great way to get out there, meet new people, get some exercise, and just have a little bit of fun. They offer a ton of different sports, including soccer, volleyball, pickleball, kickball, basketball, cornhole, and many more. And yeah, it's a great way to get out there. Like I mentioned, they're all over Denver, Lodo, Rhino, Highland City Park, Cherry Creek, South Broadway. And even if you're not in Colorado, if you live in a significantly large center of population, they probably have a chapter by you. So go check out Volo today. Players can sign up as a free agent, small group, or full team at all ability levels and backgrounds. Everybody is welcome to join. And if you're here in Denver, you can use code DNVR10 for $10 off any Volo Denver league. Go get with Volo today. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Honestly, I was just looking at this, and it's kind of fascinating to me. When you look at Reichel and you look at your careers, I do think your career might be the goal for Reichel. And I get Reichel has a first-round pick, and he has all this hype around him that maybe you didn't quite have when you were drafted, but you started your career in Toronto. You didn't really break into the NHL except for a handful of playoff games and things like that, a few games. You really got your jump when you moved to LA, and then you came to Colorado where your career really found its stride and consistency. And if you're looking at someone like Reichel, if he gets traded, whether it's to Colorado or wherever, he needs to take that next step into a consistent NHL player. So I'm curious, from someone who's experienced it, what's the mindset for a player like that, knowing that his name might be out there for trades and knowing that the next step in his career has to be one in the right direction? You're muted.
Of course I was. Wasn't a first round pick, you know what I mean? So that's the difference, obviously. But at the end of the day, it's the same thought process. And that's why working with the Avs in development over the years back then, understanding when I was a player too, that, yeah, you're drafted by the Chicago Blackhawks or Toronto Maple Leafs for myself, you know, but it doesn't mean that you're going to play for those guys. That's not how it works, because you have to find a nest. You have to be at the right place at the right time. Reichel, it's a mess in Chicago. It's been a mess. Let's not be afraid of words. It's been a mess, and it's been slow. Even with Bedard, it's just been slow compared to what they thought. Even like San Jose, which, as bad as San Jose was, people feel that, oh my God, this was unreal. That you could see progress this year. Of course, next year we'll see a lot more. Where are the San Jose Sharks? They're not going to make the playoffs. But where is this going compared to, for example, Chicago? Now, if I'm Reichel, I play my games, and yeah, there's 10, 12 teams every night in the American League watching games. And that's, you know, there's going to be a boatload of scouting reports on Reichel from Avs people. covering the American League or NHL games, and then you go back to his junior and his draft year, and in Europe, and, there's years and years and years of data, but I always say, if your opportunity doesn't get that because there's no room for you, or it's not a fit for you, or you're lost in the shuffle because they have so many young guys, the Chicago Blackhawks coming up, maybe they are saying they can get rid of one guy like him. And, and sometimes, like for me, there was no room. It was all older guys. It was all the older wingers. They were all on a contract. Back then, it was so different. And you didn't bury one-way contracts in the minors. And there was no room for me to grow. And then you get that phone call. You're disappointed. You're sad. You're hurt. You feel betrayed because you've been working for a couple years to get there. But it's the greatest thing that could ever happen to you. So for a guy like Reichel, if he's done the job in the American League, I can't tell you and I can't lie. And we'll have to wait for AJ's article. But, I haven't seen him. But Avs have seen him. Multiple teams have seen him. And then it's for you to make that distinction of, can he help me at the NHL level? And are the Chicago Blackhawks willing to help me? You would think they are willing if he's spending some time in the minors. At the end of the day, like, it's not like they've been burning the NHL, right? And sometimes it's better for your development to be in the minors. I get that. Like, for me, it's the greatest thing ever to be in the American League, But I think that you have to figure out, can you get him out of there? Can he help me out? And maybe, well, how come he can't crack Chicago, but he would crack the Avs lineup, a perennial team that, tries to win the cup every year? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. This has nothing to do with it, because he's better fit, like you just said, on the third line or whatever it is, because they feel that they can match him with a Charlie Coyle. And all of a sudden, I'll say it again, I love the American League. It is easier to play a game in the National Hockey League than to play a game in the American League. Because in the National League, everyone's so good. Everyone's in the right place. American League, it's a little bit of a free-for-all at times. And it's a lot like if you have kids. If anybody listening have kids, try out hockey. You know what I mean? When it's like, oh, go get noticed, son. And everybody takes the puck and is everywhere. And, American League's a little bit of that. It is a great league. It's a tough league, as we can see right now. I don't know if you guys have been watching, but what a great freaking finals. Abbotsford and what's their name there? South Carolina, whatever. You don't like
Charlotte.
Charlotte, sorry. What did I say? South Carolina?
No, I'm
That's
just
North
mad.
Carolina.
Abbotsford beat the
yeah.
Eagles, so they can suck it.
Yeah. Good old Manny Malhotra. Great guy. He's the Manny Malhotra.
Just being a hater. Don't mind me.
All right. No, but it's what I'm saying is it's some good players. Some good players, but the NHL is a tough league, and who knows about a guy like Eichel? It's fascinating to see, and all of it. Sometimes you just need that break and that place and that fit that you can get to, and it's awesome.
You have to be of two minds about it, right? When you're going out and getting a young player like that, you have to understand that there's probably going to be some growing pains that you have to work through. Not a young player, but you always bring up the example of Jonathan Drouin's adjustment here in Colorado. If you remember the first 20 games of Jonathan Drouin, it wasn't great at times. He was a scratch at one point, but worked through it and became the player that he can be and the Avs needed him to be. I think you look for something like that in a Reichel too. On the other side, with a young player, there's always a chance that he comes here, he doesn't get it, it doesn't click, and then you're stuck. Maybe you have to move on from a guy like that if the mindset isn't right, and
that's fine.
Yeah.
Like that's
sure.
a fine outcome of it though, because you're taking a chance. He's super fast. He's a really good transition player. He's a really good rush player right now. Physicality was always going to be a problem for him from his draft year on. That's an element of his game that needs to develop. He needs to better understand how to play in his own zone and play a more responsible and dedicated game in his own zone, which, hey, we're talking about him as like a third line guy in Colorado. That's a concern. But he's not a guy that has major engagement issues. This isn't one of those guys that will drift through a game because he's not working hard.
Trying. Yeah, right.
Exactly. And that is always an important distinction when you're talking about a Jared Bednar guy. Is he putting in the effort? Is he working every day? Is he going through and actively taking what they're showing him in video? Is he working through the things to try and get better? Or are they telling him that and it's just the same thing all the time? Kind of what we saw with Martin Kaut, where this is a really talented guy, but he would just disappear because he's just not involved far too often. And that's the difference with a guy like Reichel is from what I've seen of him, I don't have an engagement problem. It's he doesn't know how to get better at the things he's bad at. And when you look at how poor the coaching has been in Chicago the last couple of years, it's not hard to put those pieces together and say,
Might not have the help he
okay,
needs. Yeah.
what happens when he gets into a coaching staff that gives him better structure, that's actually good at this level, and takes away the pressure and asks him to play a more limited role? Like, can he do that? And then, of course, inevitably, if you end up with an injury in your top 6, you will. Val Nichushkin is on your team. He's going to miss 20 games. Like, you just need to take
Get
that
used
thing to the
to it,
bank.
yep.
You're going to need a guy. Ross Colton can obviously step in there and do that, but Lucas Reichel will give you another guy that you can say, hey, you put that guy next to McKinnon and Necas, and you have the fastest line in the NHL. By far. The fastest line in the NHL, which would just be fun more than anything.
Take me back to I'm trying to remember him. The draft, was that the COVID draft where it was all weird? And then remember he was at a restaurant bar with his family and he got picked and he was pumped, and that's him, right? That would be him, correct? Do you guys remember or no?
Truly,
that's the COVID draft,
don't remember.
Yeah, he was drafted in 21. Yeah. That's all I know about Lucas Reichel's draft night. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember he was at a restaurant, and remember it was a messed up draft and not a lot of scouting that year either. You went by hearsay or reputation, or you know what I mean? Not him, but I'm talking about everybody. It was a weird draft, right? That's Lafreniere, right?
Yeah, that was the year that Chinakhov was picked in the first round, and he was like ranked 200th or something, and everybody was like, "What just happened?" Yeah, I remember that.
All right, let's move back to the Olympics and the Avs, just because I think it's important to remember how fast this is going. And I know we've talked about Gabe Landeskog a lot, but on January 1st of this year, if you said Gabe Landeskog was going to be on the Swedish Olympic team, you're lying. I don't see how anyone could have seen that one coming today. But it's crazy how quick the turnaround has been for Gabe, getting back into games, playing NHL hockey. Now he's part of the Olympic team, which maybe if you're an Avs fan, the biggest conversation there is you feel pretty good about Gabe playing the full season if he's willing to sign up for the Olympics in February, right? This is all signs point to good when it comes to Landy and his immediate future at the very least, if you're Colorado.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and if he wasn't ready, then he wouldn't be out there on that name. You know what I mean? Like if it wasn't looking great, he would be the first guy to say, "Hey, listen, let's name give me another Swedish guy, whatever."
Right. If it wasn't looking anything short of this is gonna happen, they wouldn't have put him in the top 6 guys, right? He could have been a late addition or whatever. But to put him there, it's like, oh, okay, so he's back. We're doing this.
I think and again, like he told us the other day, obviously with us at our studios, he's looking forward to a regular summer. It's been years. When I say regular summer, a regular training regimen summer, not a let me get back to playing a hockey game training, but more let me get ready like I usually do for an 82 game schedule, a long playoff run, and an Olympic year, which does alter your training. I don't care what people say. It does alter your training. You know what I mean? And you have to take that in consideration. You have to figure out where you're trying to get to what, Again, I'm not a doctor, even though I play one on our show. But I'm not one. But I think it's very cool to see that he was named as one of the top 6 there. So pretty cool.
Are we gonna have to brush up on our Italian boys?
Hello. Yes. No, that's aloha. What is that? No, that's
ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao bella. Marina.
It goes aloha.
Aloha.
Yeah.
Look, I'll just that's Hawaii.
I'll just get my girlfriend's dad, who was born in Italy, to start training me on Italian.
Oh my God. Be set. I just realized we could have the ultimate dad move and have Dre come with us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course.
How cool
Yeah.
Oh,
would
poi la
that be?
latte today? I know how to speak Italian a little bit. I'm pretty
Trey would be
versed in
like,
a few.
yeah, I grew up here.
Yeah, you know how to speak Italian. You just said aloha. Come on.
No, that's just my brain. I'm not smart, But I gotta process it. Once I process it, then it comes out.
It's fine. Look, I get it. E would be in Hawaii during the Olympics when all of his buddies were playing there. It makes sense. It adds up.
No, I went to Cabo, 1998. I told you, Cabo. I did not know.
God damn.
I did not know what Cabo was. Yeller and I went to Cabo. I had never heard of Cabo. I'm like, what? Where are we going? Cabo, San Lucas. And I told you it was the first time ever. It was the Olympics, 98 Nagano Olympics in Japan. And we showed up the next morning at the airport in Cabo San Lucas. If there wasn't 100 NHLers, there wasn't one at the airport. We're all laughing, looking at each other like, I'm laughing like, oh my God. Everybody ended up in Cabo from the West, In the East,
Yep.
they all end up in the bottom. But in the West, like the whole league was in Cabo. It was crazy. But yeah, no, I did not make it to Nagano, or I would be in Hawaii, yes, instead of Italy for sure. No chance of making it.
DNVR needs a Olympic break to Cabo. How do we get that to work?
No, let's go to the
God.
Bahamas. Short
Okay,
flight
sure.
for me, man.
You guys can go. Yeah, it's a little further for me, but it's fine. We can go to the Bahamas. I'm not going to be picky. To circle it back into the Avs and kind of move on from the Olympic conversation, as there'll be plenty more of that, I'm sure. The newest rumors in the mill: Ryan Lindgren supposedly going to test the UFA market. I don't think that's too big of a surprise from the Avs side of things. Just money-wise, it was going to be tough if Lindgren wanted similar to what he was already making to keep him in Colorado. So, yeah, I don't think anyone's blown away by that, but semi-confirmation of it. You can, if you hadn't already, you can start living in the world where you're probably trying to replace him on your bottom pairing or whatever spot in the lineup you want to call that.
Yeah, it's tough. A trade that looked bad the day that it was made looked really good for about 10 games and then never looked good again. Like it was Lindgren wasn't terrible in the playoffs, but he was arguably Colorado's worst defenseman, and the things that he was supposed to bring to the lineup just weren't quite enough. And then because of the dearth of quality defenders in this market, or just defenders in general, everybody's about to get overpaid. All these guys are about to get more money than they should, and they're all going to look like bad deals. And some of the money that we've heard around Lindgren is just like unacceptable for the Avs to do. So that this is it. It's fine. Like this is I know that CMAC kind of put himself out on the line a little bit with this deal because he loved certain aspects of Lindgren. It didn't fully translate. It wasn't a train wreck, but it wasn't good enough for the price paid. The caliber of player that they got just was not. It was not good enough.
My take with him is, as you guys know, I like him. I didn't mind him, just like you just said. I said this about Brock Nelson. I will say the same thing about him. Remember when I said Brock Nelson, you should see by now a signature, or I don't see this going to July 1st, because what would be the purpose when they know? So I think if there was going to be a deal for we'll say it again, Charlie Lindgren, just for fun, so chat can go crazy with Charlie.
One last time. They can be mad at us.
One last time. We all know it's Ryan. But Charlie, Chuckles, Lindgren, we all know he would have signed by now. That's just me. It's not that complicated of a deal. It's probably too rich, and I get it, because you're on the tail end of your career, and this guy. I mean, as we saw, he puts his body on the line, and he's bleeding every shift. And this guy's like, he gets hit by pucks, sticks. I mean, people's popcorn from the stand. You name it, it gets hit. It finds his face. So I get it. If you would want to go for more money, I totally understand that. I just can't see it, the Avs being able to afford, because he would have signed by now. So I think he's long gone. I didn't mind the move at the time. I still like the move at the time. It just, again, this is a move that if you go 4 rounds, it looks better. You lose in the 4th round, it doesn't look good. It just doesn't. We all know that. But I
4
think
rounds,
that
you can trade for a gopher and it looks good. Like,
yeah, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah!
So
Shout out Gopher.
I can't see it. You know what I mean? And again, which makes me wonder. I can't be picky like that towards one guy and towards not another guy. So, I'm just gonna say this. Meow. I'm starting to get worried a little bit. The cat's not shying. So I'm just saying. It's not that complicated of a deal. It's more like, I want this. And they're like, yeah, good luck. And then he's going to go good luck and take the money. Or he's like, okay. But you know what I mean? So I'm going to stick funny. The cat meow into that group for sure, because he should have been signed by now. This is that simple. It's that simple of a deal. You know what I mean? So
he's got to hunt his own food. He chose the street cat life.
I think so. I think he's going in the streets. Yeah, he's going to go in the streets, downtown streets. So, whatever.
Replacing Lindgren, I don't really see how this makes sense if you're trying to replace what Lindgren brought to you, but a lot of people have brought him up. Apparently, he's available out of LA. They want to stick with Brett Clark. Jordan Spence on the market. Too samey with guys like Sam Malinsky, or is there interest there?
Yeah, I think they're too samey. I like Jordan Spence, but if you're getting him, then you would want to move Malinsky for somebody to be on the left side, and whoever would be getting Malinsky in that deal, why would they not just go get Spence themselves? Sure. So, I'm just too samey. So the Avs are going to probably have to dumpster dive a little bit for the other third pairing guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Australian dude, right? Spence? That's the guy that from Australia, right? Where the Avs, where the Kings went for preseason last year, right? Wasn't he from there?
I have no idea.
He could be. I don't know where he's from.
Yes, buddy. Trust me, I think he was born there.
Yep, Manly, Australia.
Yeah. Even though I got it right there.
He plays internationally for Canada and Japan, so he's pretty widely cultured.
I process Hawaii, Australia. It just hits me. Bing's like a pinball. But yeah, I mean, again, you're talking about a guy with smaller stature, right? You know what I mean? So, who knows? But a good player. I like him. Again, you'd have to get somebody out. You know what I mean? Like we said, you can't have Sammy G, you can't have Sammy Malinsky, you can't have this guy, as 3 of your guys.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it just becomes a little too small, right? Like Montreal, everybody's like, oh my God, like you feel like you could have done the same thing last year with Lane Hudson and his brother Cole and snagged them, like they're like, no, we only need room for one of those, right? You know what I mean? We have room for one. And that's how you construct your decor, right? And of course, Lane's special, right? You know what I mean? Because he's obviously won the Calder.
It's easier to make room for a guy like that, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But again, Ozo, you have one of those, right? Raw cards, you know what I mean? Good players, essential to win, absolutely. But so it would be interesting. It's an interesting name. And it's not the first time we've heard that either, right? We've heard that last year. We've heard that the year, it's, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, but I think the Avs, like moving on and George there is Mario Ferraro and Perbix. There's going to be guys, I call them the Nate Schmitz of the summer 2025. There's going to be some. You're going to find guys that, and again, in the Stanley Cup Finals, you got the Troy Stetcher, you got Nate Schmidt. I mean, those are all guys that if you would have said that, you were like, the train's gone by. You know what I mean? Like, nah. You know what I mean? But then you put them and they're a good fit and they play well. And so who knows, right? So he's
Stetcher playing 4 minutes a night, so let's not jump the gun on that.
No, but you know what I mean. Okay, Klingberg, he's been a scratch you, but I'm just saying, like, guys, I would have told you, like, yeah, no. And they've played pretty good in the playoffs this year. So, right? It's just, you just got to find your nest, be a fit somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not Sean Barons, and I love Sean. You guys know that.
I mean,
He's
Yeah.
a great kid.
He's not that
God,
answer for sure. Yeah.
He's not the answer. He hasn't played. He hasn't played pro. He hasn't played for a year. It takes time. Go. No expectations. Go play in the American League this year. Be a leader down there. Let's go. And then whatever happens. So we'll see.
Sean Barons would have to have an all-time great training camp just to take Keaton Middleton's job, not play every night.
Like, let's just get through a preseason, brother. Let's start there. All right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, the guys in free agency right now that we're looking at for that spot are probably more like the John Merrills of the world.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Like
Cheapish,
that kind
can
of like
run into stuff.
Like,
yep.
Exactly. Like he's going to be a defensive defenseman that you're going to put on the PK. What they did with Calvin DeHaan last year. That kind of guy. And luckily for the Avs, there's about 20 of them in free agency this year because that class is terrible. So lots of bottom pairing guys that they can sift through. But as much as I've joked, and I do love Mike Riley's game. Mike Riley and Sam Malinsky that's the easiest third pairing in the NHL to play against. From a physical standpoint, from a puck skill standpoint, you might not have it much, but when you do get it, you'll be able to go to the net pretty freely. So, that's the real problem is that there's not like you need like Hayden Fleury, John Merrill types, and there are more of the puck movers available.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe they can run it back
how much
with
the
all of the
modern
Shillington.
NHL has changed.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be running it back with Shilly, unfortunately.
I don't either.
No.
We'll see. Time will tell on that one. We can talk more about this tomorrow, but let me wind down the show here by asking you guys a very simple question. Did the Colorado Avalanche make a trade at or before the NHL draft?
Yes.
2 yeses.
Yes.
I'll add a third yes. I do think they do something. I don't know that it's to actually get draft picks and make those picks, but I do think we will see some moving and shaking for the Colorado Avalanche one way or another surrounding the NHL draft this year.
I agree.
Which is going to be weird. It's going to be a weird draft. Supposedly the NHL has famous people to announce some of the picks, have some fun with it, even though nobody's going to be there. I don't know.
Anyway, but on top of it, I know we talked about it. I know it's been talked about. I know it's been leaked, but it's going back to normal next year. Put it down in the books. Going back to normal next year.
Yeah, it's already heavily rumored that's the case.
That's what I mean. Everyone's talking about it. I don't remember who I talked to this weekend. Someone was like, yeah, no, it's going back. So I was like, oh, okay, I agree.
All right. We are winded down here. A reminder, it is Spirit Week. Tomorrow, we have a mystery guest coming on the show, so you're going to want to tune in to find out who that is. We'll have a fun conversation. I'll give you it's hockey related at least. All right. So it's a real hockey guest. I'll give you that much, but that's all I'm going to do. You can see the rest of the week how it plays out here. Again, big shout outs to Big Brothers Big Sisters. They're a huge, awesome organization that we're partnering with. Again, we're doing a fundraiser with them. Go donate. We're trying to raise a ton of money for a great cause. Or if you're crazy and love that type of stuff, you want to become a big, highly recommend. Again, get with them with bbbsa.com/DNVR today. We appreciate y'all. We are going to get out of here for today's show in about 30 seconds. Last thing, who wins the Olympics?
Nathan
Is there a
McKinnon.
question? Canada.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I
don't care. I don't care about Canada. I care about Nathan McKinnon winning it.
I'm good. McKinnon can get the game winner. That's all we got. We're out of here for today. This has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, and we'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.